welcome to OSG Live, where we inspire you to fall in love with your business. Get set to join your hosts, Tanya, Becky, Kylene, and Aaron for your weekly motivation. It's time to share your wins, express gratitude, and choose positive changes. Jump into the comments and share your thoughts with the rest of the OSG community. Coming up, OSG Wellness Super Tools to nourish your mind and body, small business success gems to uncover hidden gems of business excellence, and the uncommon mindset to challenge the status quo. Your journey to success and happiness starts now.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to OSG Live. It's hard to believe it's Wednesday again. It's like flying by.
Indeed.
I'm Tanya Deutscher with Gracie B Doodle Designs, and I believe you can choose what you need as often as you need it.
Awesome. And I'm Kylene Montgomery with Rise, Shine, Smile Yoga, and I help people transform negative energy and overwhelm into positive energy.
Good morning, and I'm with Tanya. It's hard to believe this Wednesday is already here again.
My pleasure. Having fun.
Right. I'm Becky Kutzer with BK Custom Tees, and I believe it takes a village to run a business.
Awesome. Well, I'm Aaron Montgomery. I'm with our Success Group, and we, as the Fab Four, are here to help you fall deeper in love with your business, and cannot wait for a wonderful conversation today. We've, like I said, it's been it feels like a short week because most of us were on the road. Kylene had to actually be the responsible one and stay home. But Tanya and Becky and I got to hang out over the last weekend at Dax, Minnesota. So it was so wonderful to just kind of get to be around. Right, it's here, as Becky says, it takes a village to run a business, and when your village is awesome, you want to be hanging out there all the time. So, but
awesome, but maybe awesome and scary, as you've said.
You never know what you're going to get out of the dynamic duo. They are, you guys are awesome. Well, see, it's so much awesome, right? That's the scary part. Is like, can I handle that much awesome in one setting?
Good recovery.
Yeah, I love it. All right, well, Kylene, what's a good way to get us rolling here this morning so we're all kind of on that high vibration?
Yeah, so we're going to start with gratitude. We like to start with gratitude because gratitude's our superpower. And so when we really start to appreciate the things in our life that we have to be grateful for, we attract more of that to us. So we're going to attract as much good energy as we can this morning on our show. And I can start today by sharing what I am grateful for. And I am very grateful for the people on screen with me here today. Every one of them has just really helped me a lot. So I'm really grateful for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I am also for that and for the actual time. I so wish that Kylene could have been with us, but just like I always say, being in real life, being able to give someone a hug and bounce things off of, and just, being able to sit down and have a meal together is absolutely amazing. And that really filled my cup.
Awesome.
Yep.
I agree. All the other three of you are an integral part of my business and my days now. And I love that part. And I am so grateful that I was able to sneak away and take that time to hang out with Tanya and Aaron and meet a bunch of people. And like Tanya said, be able to give a couple hugs because that was definitely needed and filled my cup up also.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. All right. Well, you guys that are tuned in live, anybody that's tuned in live here bright and early this morning, make sure that you share what you are grateful for as well. We already have Chuck checking in, so we appreciate you being here, Chuck, and good morning. And I'm grateful for you, Chuck. But I think we're all going to kind of be parrots here a little bit. Kylene got to start us off. So, but I agree, just all of the opportunities to be together. I enjoyed it, right? We probably should have just snuck off to lunch like we did and just stayed there. But, we had other people that wanted to talk to us. So, it was really good. But I'm going to add one other thing that I'm grateful for. And just so I got to share at these events, and I'm actually getting on a plane today to head out to Atlantic City, New Jersey, to get to share again. And man, it just fills me up, because you can see it, right? You can see the light bulbs. You can, people are because I'm so passionate about this that I sometimes I get really into it, as I do on here. And when we're talking about an uncommon mindset, it just takes us looking at something a little bit differently. And you can tell when people go, "Oh yeah, I need to make that change," and so, and then the conversations that we have afterwards, we jumped on a quick live. Well, I tried to just put us on a quick live. I think I was there for less than 30 seconds, and some of the people from my class were standing over there, and they had more questions. I'm like, okay, well, let me go talk to them real quick.
It was here. Let's do a live. Oh wait, you guys take over.
Okay.
You just anyhow. So yeah, what are you guys that are tuned in live this morning here? Tell us what you are grateful for, and we'll talk about that throughout. And I think we got it covered. So I say let's dive right into the wellness toolbox. I know you guys got a great topic for us this morning. Are you guys ready for that?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
Hello.
Hello. Well, I think today's topic, it actually sprung from being at a trade show with other people. And it's just a springboard off of what we were all grateful for today. And that's relationships, and how they can be very impactful to your physical and mental well-being. They could be advantageous to your business. There's just so much that is involved with cultivating safe places to build relationships, to be able to collaborate, and all those things. So let's get started and dive in with this.
Yeah, I think it's a really important part to our success in business, but also just in life. We're humans. We crave that connection part. And so that's why I'm glad we're talking about it. I know you were like super excited after the show. And so I was glad that we could just run with it and kind of talk about it here. We already talked a little bit about it with people, with everyone sharing what they were grateful for, that power of community, the power of meeting people, having good, that connection is so crucial to our overall well-being. And I think that's the part that people forget, how it does decrease our anxiety. It does, decrease our mood, or not decrease our mood, but like depression and things like that, that negative energy. When we're connected and we're connecting with the right people, our energy vibration rises, and we're going to get more excited about life. So yeah, it's just so important for our business, but also in general for our everyday life.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never really looked at it from an overall standpoint before, but good relationships can also improve not only your mental health, but your physical health. It can help increase your immune system. It can just give you more of a sense of well-being, and could actually extend your life, which is really amazing. And also, as we were at the show, there's all kinds of people, right? You have the people that are really passionate, and like Aaron said, the light bulb goes on and you get it. But then you also get those that no matter what you say, they are going to have something negative to come back at you for. And if you are, very aware of who your people are, and that they're just not going to ever get it, instead of like beating your head against that brick wall to try to get them to get it, maybe eventually they will, but right at that moment, just wish them to have a good day and carry on. And that, when that happened at the show a couple times, I was like, wow, I've really kind of grown, because I would have in the past been like, no, I want you to listen to me.
Yeah, well, it's like when you hear a no, right? I mean, it is, I guess, hearing a no when they're not interested in what you have to share. It's understanding that that's just not the right person for you, or at this time, what you are providing is not what they're ready for, or what they they think that they need, but it has nothing to do with us.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. That's great.
Well, with regard to relationships and business, there's so many things that we can do to meet new people. The podcasts we listen to, the people we interact with on social media that can become your friends. A ton of my friends I have only met through a computer screen. And some I have been so fortunate to actually be able to meet in person, which, as I've already said, fills my cup. But there's, networking. There's all kinds of networking groups out there. But then there's the genuine connections that you can build from that. Networking is important for business growth, but genuine connections go beyond that surface level interaction of just exchanging a business card and saying, here's what I do. Maybe I can help you. Maybe I can't. So we need to focus on building those meaningful relationships rather than just collecting the contacts. And then you have people that are in your corner and can help you out. We can do the trainings. We can encourage people to join Fall in Love with Your Business on Facebook to interact with us. We can have people join OSG or even just reach out to us directly for help. And then we can bring them into that and share our people with others. A perfect example is, last night we did yoga on TikTok, and I'm so thankful because you have crossed into one of my realms, and we got some really great feedback last night. One of my friends who has been missing it was like, hey, this is exactly what I needed. And I know that for me, that was like, oh yeah, somebody's getting it. And it makes me happy to have that collaboration.
Yeah, most definitely. When I got that feedback too, that filled me up, because then it was like, okay, there are people out there open to trying something different, right? It's not the norm. It's not what you hear about, but it's so powerful. And so having that connection with you and you sharing me, I mean, that's huge. And that's what this is really all about, right? As humans, we love to help people. And so this is something that in action, it actually, it happened last night, and that's pretty cool.
Yes. And I was feeling really bad because on my phone, and I'm sitting back, I can't read the comments because I'm like blind. So I had to go back through like, oh, did I miss anything that I need to follow up on? But that feedback after the fact was really great. So
yeah, that was awesome. The really important part, and for me in all of this, is to nurture your existing relationships that you have. It's really important in all the relationships that we have, not just our business ones. Well, those are equally important, but our relationships we have with our spouses, with our friends, with our family, with our ideal customers, right? You want to really make that genuine connection with them. Listen to what they need. Take the time, carve the time to be with them and be present. We have all talked to people who are kind of out there, right? You're talking to them, they're not listening. And it does not make us feel good, right? And so if this is an important person in our life, let's make sure we show up for them and carving out that time to really just connect on a deeper level. It's really important.
Absolutely. I know for me, when some of my people get quiet, or when I get quiet and someone reaches out, it means the world. And it's like, oh, I do matter. And I know that I matter, but sometimes when you get busy or you're stressed or whatever, it just means a lot to have like the Fab Four in your life. You can create your own Fab Four. We can be your Fab Four. There's so many great things that can come with that. And I said several times over the weekend that, we're not about gatekeeping, and you have to have that mindset that you're not going to want to keep secrets, because when you share, and granted, a lot of what we do, you can find on Google. It's just a matter of, we can take that information and we can make it special by thinking about things differently and things like that. Another great way to, with relationships of any sort, is offering value. And I'm not talking, monetarily or materialistic or whatever, But you can add value to relationships, whether it's sharing knowledge, providing support. Sometimes people just need a little bit of support, or, yes, that is a really good idea. Or sometimes hard to hear, no, that's a terrible idea. How can we revamp this a little bit to make it better, type thing. Offering opportunities, like Aaron has, offered up the opportunity for Becky and I to help you guys with the Fun Live and OSG and all the things. And that just makes my heart filled, and adding value helps solidify connections and foster reciprocity. So I hope that, I'm giving as much as I'm getting type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it establishes trust at a deeper level when someone's willing to, give you this lead or involve you in something. Oh, sorry, I just saw the comment. Aaron wrote, just by showing people the example of positivity can share value with them. Yes, I like that. Yeah, I mean, when you have that genuine connection and you have that value you're sharing with them, it will impact them, and how they use that in their life, we don't really have control over, but more often than not, they're coming to you for a reason. You have this bond for a reason, so you can help each other grow and just thrive. And it's pretty amazing, especially as entrepreneurs. Sometimes we're all alone, and so it's nice to form those connections. Like, you love collaborating, and it's powerful. And so we are offering value every day. So remembering that.
Good morning, Michelle.
Michelle.
I'm going to throw the Facebook link up here because Aaron was gracious enough to share that. So I'm just going to leave that up there. And before we continue on, if you have people in your lives, please share this with them. We really want to have a community where we can foster these kinds of relationships. And we'll talk about that again a little bit later, but I'm just going to leave it up here for right now.
Perfect.
Some simple tips that can help cultivate stronger, more genuine, supportive connections and interactions. Boy, that was a hard one today.
All good.
We're just going to go through and hit on a few. And then I know that Becky and Aaron have some really great uncommon mindset. So once we're done, if you have any questions on these or want us to delve deeper, just let us know. But we're just going to finish up with these. And you want to start, Kylene?
Yeah, I think one of the really important parts when you're cultivating that stronger connection, that relationship with someone, is understanding your values. What's important to you? What do you need from this relationship? I could go be friends with lots of different people, but if they're not the right people for me, is it really a worthwhile connection? Maybe in some ways, maybe it's feeding some part of me that need for the relationship side, right? But really, when you know what's important to you, that's what you're going to attract back. And so you're going to have that stronger bond, that stronger connection by just being clear with what's important to you. So that's going to help you build that stronger relationship with someone.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. And I used to be such a people pleaser that I would try to pour myself into everyone. And not that I don't want to help everyone, but there's just those people that if they're going to be negative and negative and negative, that ends up leaching my energy. So I've become more protective of my peace. But if we can bounce back and forth with one another and have, great things and pour into one another, then that makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Another thing is be proactive, forming authentic connections with others, no matter what the relationship type. It takes time and consistency. And I'm going to bring this weekend into it again. Becky knows someone that through her husband, it's a couple, and they were at DAX. And I've met Rachel once before, but actually being able to sit down with them over the weekend, and then we ended up going and having a second dinner Saturday night. And we got some really great feedback from them on, first time trade show goers and offering classes. And then we were able to take that back to Aaron and have a conversation with it about, that too. And that just, poured and poured and poured. Some of it might have been like things that we didn't think about or something that we can do better. But you have to be able to take that and be like, okay, yeah, I can do that better. We're not all perfect, and we need that feedback and to be proactive in arranging that. So
yeah, and part of what you just said is you had that genuine connection where you had that trust where they could share their feedback. You could accept that feedback because you trusted where it was coming from, what their intention was. So that's really, really important. Another way to build those stronger connections and more meaningful connections with your community is reflect back on the interactions that allowed you to have those good feelings inside, and then try to put yourself in those places where you can generate more of that. For me with yoga, I love doing it online, and I kind of miss my little time that I used to have after my classes, because that's when I felt like I really connected with people. So I'll get back to that part, but I push it as long as I can. But when I'm in my in-person classes, that time afterward, I don't know, I think because you go through this experience together, right? That bonding, you're just genuinely connected at a deeper level. And the conversations you have after those moments, for me, fills me up. They're meaningful and powerful for me. And I would assume the other people, as they let their guard down and share more with me too. So for me, if I can cultivate more of that type of thing, that's really important. And, same with the fun live event, you're going to be in that moment. You're going to go through that experience together, which really just creates that stronger bond, that stronger connection. And it like imprints all that learning that you had in a different way in your brain. So you're able to take it with you.
Absolutely. And being on the receiving end of finishing a yoga session and then the talk, it is very beneficial. But, right now time is of the essence. So I get it, but we are still getting that. It just is in shorter.
Yeah.
But it is very, very meaningful for the receiver as well.
Oh, thank you.
Be authentic and honest in every interaction. Understand that you don't always have to be on or appear a certain way. Authenticity is the key to genuine connection. I know for me, I used to always think that if I got on a live, I had to have my makeup on, I had to have my hair perfect. And there's oftentimes anymore. Yesterday was one of them. It was a hat day, no makeup, hat day. I hopped on and did a couple of videos for TikTok. It was okay. I no longer get wrapped up in that. And some of my most received TikToks have been when I've looked like absolute train wreck. It's hilarious.
Well, it's because you let your guard down.
Yeah.
You had that genuine connection, and I love that. I think that's awesome. I was the same way. I mean, when I started Thankful Thursdays, Aaron can tell you, it was like I was going to speech class. I had like my papers all lined up, like words, just tons of words, and I would make sure my hair was perfect, my makeup was on, like everything just had to be perfect. And then it came across cold. It did not give out that positive energy. So I love that you shared that. That's a great example of that. And then remembering that everyone has different ways of connecting. Not everyone is like us, where, we love that social interaction sometimes.
Yeah.
But other people might crave it a little bit differently, and just recognizing and picking up on those signs that, okay, maybe this person isn't all about that big hug that I go grab them. Maybe that isn't for them, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. So just picking up on some of those cues, and understanding if that relationship just really doesn't blossom or doesn't go where you anticipated, that's okay. Just continue to move forward, and your people are out there. I'm fortunate to have found mine. But that was because I had to try different things and put myself out there and use the connections that I had already to bring more of that good to me.
Absolutely. Well, to wrap it up, if you're looking to dive deeper into this topic and connect with other like-minded, positive people, join our Facebook group. It's Fall in Love with Your Business. The link is up here on the screen. Our goal is to have people interacting with one another. I said over and over this weekend, it's not about gatekeeping. It's about, if you have something that you're struggling with, come throw it out to the group. You can get some really great ideas when it's not something right in front of your face. I know that, and I told this story a lot too, I often don't see what's right in front of my face. I was on the phone with Becky last night, got the mail. I was looking for my new updated Venmo card, and I'm like, oh, it didn't come. Oh, yes, it did. It was in the big blue envelope that was different than anything else, but it was like right there, so I didn't see it. And so I laugh about it now. But sometimes you need that extra support. So join us.
Yes. We'd love to have you.
Bring the others back up and see what they have to say and keep moving.
Sounds great.
All right.
Okay. Wow. Really good stuff. Thank you. That was awesome. Becky, what stood out for you?
Well, I had to leave to make sure kids were up, but I did catch part of it. And I mean, in talking with, everybody this weekend, and like Tanya said, being able to give hugs to a few people and just connect in person is just, I don't know. I crave it too, because again, I'm here all day by myself. And some days, don't get me wrong, that's a really good thing. Not only for myself, but for everybody else around me. It's a good thing I'm by myself. But at the same time, I still crave that in-person connection. And, having Rachel and Jesse there this weekend, and having to meet Kim, that we'd only met through messages and back and forth and all the things, was so awesome. And then just a whole bunch of new people that we got to say hello to. So
yeah, Hawkeye's wife. I mean, I'm like, you could be one of my best friends.
Lisa's awesome.
Oh, and Michelle says she'll be sharing the link for the group with the local network of ladies that they just established. That was awesome. I heard Michelle talking about that, and that is fantastic. Michelle. Yes, thank you.
Congrats, Michelle. That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Yeah, no, I think that's like you said, all the people that you get to meet. So I've been doing this for so long, right? I mean, I've been going to trade shows for 24 years, sometimes a lot of them, right? Like to a point of like, I don't even need a home, right? So fortunately, since I met Kylene, I've had some times where it's been pretty heavy, but I mean, when I was younger, I was on the road more than I was at home. And when you're younger, that's great because, you're out there, you're having fun, you're meeting people and stuff like that. But I think probably when I was younger too, I didn't realize how important those relationships were. Right. So now it's funny. We've taken Lewis to the show with us a couple times, and he's like, everybody, Dad. I'm like, well, I know everybody here because they're amazing people. Right. And so of course, but it takes that, we have to stop and say hi and do that. I think you told the story, Tanya, about the people that were a bit negative, and I never understood that. You definitely get that at every show where there's somebody that just comes in and wants to battle. It's like, why are you here? What are you going to actually get out of this if you're coming into every conversation with this, like, what are you trying to sell me thing? Well, yes, people spent money to be there, and so yes, they want to share with you, but at the same time, selling is not a bad thing, right? That person's got their business and they should be selling. Right. So do they want their customers to go, what are you trying to sell me? Right? Like, no, what value are we trying to exchange with each other here? Right? And if there's something that is a sale that goes along with that, great. But that's what I talk about, like almost rabidly in my pricing seminars. It's not this whole, like, I'm trying to milk you for as much money as I can. That's only going to last so long. You're on your march to out of business if that's really the way you look at your interactions with your customers. It's about the value that you can exchange with each other. So a couple of notes that I wrote down as you guys were talking is, in a way, because I've been doing it for so long, those negative people, I actually really kind of enjoy talking to, because I have my so first strength is significance. Second is problem solver. And they're a problem to solve, right? How can I show them how positivity, kind of lead by example is kind of the way I've always looked at. I know it's not always fun, but sometimes I'm in that sassy mood where I want to talk to that negative person and just counter everything that they say and show them, hey, you know what? Cool. But I'm positive. So you're not going to change that. Right. And show them that you can't change me. You can be as negative as you want, but I'm going to be as positive as I want until I annoy you to death.
Well, the really funny response, and it was from one gentleman in particular, when we wished him to have the best day and we wouldn't engage, you could tell that he wanted us to further engage and that he didn't want to be told to have the most wonderful day ever. But there were other people for us to talk to, so I probably would have sparred with him a little bit, but I wanted to talk to other people.
Yeah,
that were
absolutely. You have to fight the right battles. But, you know, and a lot of times when you get into that, right, it is a matter, I think what happens especially in relationships and nowadays in the instant gratification world is the relationships, we don't spend enough time going into depth, right? We want to talk about the weather, what you're drinking. Okay, cool. But what about, you know, what's going on in your world? What can we celebrate together? What's new and good? What are challenges you facing? Right? Like, let's get into something with a little bit more meat on the bone. Kylene always kind of helps me through that because I want to jump right to the very end, right into the deep end, right? But I know people need to start in the shallow end, and that's not my area of strength. I want to get out of that shallow end as quickly as possible. So it is that balancing act of kind of finding those relationships where you can get into the deep end, right? You talked about Lisa, Hawkeye's wife. I mean, she's just and she's got such an amazing story too, you know, but I knew before I even met her, knowing Hawkeye, right? If they're happily married, then she's going to be pretty awesome, right? It's because Hawkeye's a great guy. So anyhow,
they were so much fun to get to know.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, really, really good people. So I think that's it. The other point that you guys mentioned was the networking thing. And I have been going to some more networking events. And when you have that conversation with the person that's got their whole pitch, their spiel, you know, their elevator pitch. And I know you go to like BNI type things or things like that. They practice that, and it you know, I get it. But when a plumber has got this really, you know, great pitch for you, and then they tell you their name at the beginning, and then they give you your pitch, and then they tell you their name again. I'm like, I understand that you want me to remember your name, but I don't really, you know, so again, that depth thing, I think, is what it is for me. Sometimes I kind of feel gross after those situations.
But networking's not exactly bad because I was a BNIer for a long time. I don't necessarily want to do it again, but it really helped me to be able to be more intentional with people. Yep. And it taught me how to get in front of a camera and get in front of a group.
Sure.
And so there are positive things. I don't want people to go away thinking, you know, networking is bad. It's not. No. It just has its place. And you're not necessarily going to get the really great, deeper relationships that what you might need. That does happen sometimes, but it doesn't always happen. When you leave the group, you're kind of like,
well,
but I think those groups help too, that you learn to sell yourself. I mean, we had that conversation too not that long ago about I can sell your stuff all day long, but to say anything about my own is like, this is what I do. You know, you're very wishy-washy with it, and yet somebody else's stuff you can, you know, put it right out there. And I think that those networking groups like that are really good for to boost that part of it.
Absolutely. And I agree with you, Tanya, and what you're saying there, Becky, right? It's not all this negative. It's just, I gravitate towards the people that don't have that, right? I know, you got to practice it a little bit, right? How you're going to share quickly and get people interested in what you're doing. We talk about that all the time inside of our success group, but my point is, okay, let's go a little bit. That's great. Now, tell me a little bit more about you, right? Let's ask some more questions that go a little bit deeper. It's not a speed dating. Let me vomit my pitch on you and then move on to the next person, right? And I think that's where those things can be a little bit challenging. People don't get to that next level all the time. So
I think that's where the one-on-ones come in, where the reach outs happen after a networking event. You know, you swap information and then have a conversation afterwards. That's where those come in at.
That's where the intentionality of not everyone understands that those reach outs and one-to-ones are so very important, to be able to cultivate that. I know when I first started, I was like, I just wanted to go get it over with as soon as possible and have that be it. So I've grown a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kylene.
I was just going to say one more thing. Like, this is just a great example of finding what works for you, though. Your people are out there. And so for me, the mastermind group was my way of getting out there, and letting my guard down with people in my safe space, right? Versus going to just a big networking group and just sharing. That, for me, I went with Aaron to a couple, and it was just sharing my name. I would get nervous. I'm like, this is silly. But I was able to build my confidence and my clarity and all of that with the mastermind group. So for me, that worked to really get moving forward.
Great point, Kylene. Awesome point.
Great conversation, but we better get. We
got a lot to cover here in a short time to get there. All right. Well, let's hear a quick word about you guys already brought it up, the Fundamentals Live event. So let's see what you guys think about this.
Are you overwhelmed? Is work-life balance a problem? Are you stuck trying to figure out what to do to grow your small business? Or are you just afraid or feeling alone? The secret to overcoming it all is a strong foundation.
My name's Aaron Montgomery. I'm the author of the Fundamentals of Business Success book, and I'm invested in helping people work on their businesses, not just in them. The fundamentals are essential for lasting, fulfilling success.
Think of the fundamentals like a treasure map with special tools. It shows you where to go so you don't get lost, saving you time and money. This foundation is your plan and your belief system that keeps you going. It's about taking small, consistent steps every day, building up over time to reach your goals.
You might be searching for success without knowing where to start, but we know this foundation works. Aaron is here to guide you in creating your own treasure map. We are ready to invest in you. Are you ready to invest in yourself?
Sign up today for this one-of-a-kind live event. You will leave with a clear purpose, strategies to achieve your goals, a custom action plan, time management mastery, and the courage to conquer fear. Are you ready to invest in yourself? You deserve the support your business needs.
Sign up now for one of the limited number of seats.
All right, there we go. So sign up now for one of the limited number of seats. Definitely get out there, osg.link/fun live. So, all right. Well, are we ready for a little uncommon mindset here, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. All right, Becky. Wow. We are, as we were putting this together, I was just so, we're in week 11 already. I mean, this is our 26th episode. So, I think we're doing pretty good, but here's what kind of stood out to me, right? Yes, 12-week workshop. There is a lot to cover, but really, honestly, when you think about it at the same time, in only 12 weeks too, right? You can say 12 weeks is a lot of time, right? That's 3 months. Right. Or you can say, wow, in only 3 months. So whichever way, using Tanya's word, whichever way you choose to look at that. But that 12 weeks can substantially change your business. And even if you don't go through the 5 different, so the 12 weeks, there's 5 different things in those 12 weeks. If you just go with the big things that we're covering here in OSG Live, right? And maybe, you take this hour that we get together, you take this 30 minutes in the uncommon mindset section here, and then maybe you add another extra 15 or 30 minutes afterwards to work on your business and just try to put those things into action for yourself. And so you're actually taking the action with it. You're going to see tremendous results just from that, right? So you can, again, use that label just from, or, oh my gosh, it's too much. And so that's a choice. But as usual, Becky, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here because I get so passionate about this stuff. So maybe can you help me get back on track here and let's dive into this week of the workshop and what we're going to be covering.
right? So this week's workshop is labeled Strategic Success Mapping. So you're going to learn how to set up your key performance indicators, or your KPIs, which help us to know what we should be tracking and measuring in our business. It's also about learning the importance of reviewing those metrics, or reviewing, what you're tracking. We talk about how to manage your time and prioritize your tasks. And then the last part of the week focuses on adjusting your plans as you need to, and celebrating those achievements. You've heard us talk about celebrating a lot here, and there's a reason for that. It's vital. So, and then you get to create a practical business plan or a system that works for you, that'll guide you through this. It's about, continuing to work, from it. It's something that you're not going to just do it once. You're going to continually work from it and keep going forward with it.
Yeah. That cycle of it, right? And so each week I get incredibly excited, because these 60 overall topics, right? So if you do the math, 12 weeks with 5 topics a week, that's 60. They're just passion subjects of mine. My second other passion here.
Good morning, Lewis.
Good morning. Have a great day, buddy. I'll see you on Saturday. All right. Thank you for giving me a moment to say goodbye to my son. So yeah, Becky, those are really areas of passion for me. And Kylene actually told me the other night that I'm like a professor. Right? I get so pumped up to share these concepts, and if I kind of already got started here, I was getting ahead of myself. And so I want to talk about this concept of the review cycle mindset, right? What does that mean? And here's kind of where it really stood out for me. You and I were recently talking about kind of your path with the fundamentals here, and you're an action taker, right? And you get it. And you kind of shared, okay, well, what do we need to do with these fundamentals? And you quite plainly put it, which I thought was awesome. Follows, and I'm actually quoting, because I went back to our transcripts here because I loved it so much. You said, follow the steps, do the things. I mean, how simple is that? Follow the steps, do the things. But the flip side of that, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but we only have so much time in the day, right? And to do all the things, it's not always easy to do that, right? So it seems simple, but yeah, how do you make it happen? Where do you find the time? And so I guess before we go much deeper, I'd love to get your kind of hot take, so to speak, on what the review cycle mindset is. What does that mean to you?
So, and we always try to make things complicated. So keeping it simple is the best part anyways, but the review cycle is something that I just started doing. That is, it's been very brand new to me. I think everybody thinks back and reviews things occasionally, but to be intentional about it is the part of this review cycle that I think we need to know. And, for me, that meant to take some time to look at the prior month, I wrote down 25 things that I was proud of or accomplished. Mm-hmm. But there again, as I was working on this topic this week and reviewing it, it also dawned on me that we should be reviewing some of those challenges that we've had, something that didn't quite go right, that didn't go as planned. I believe we need to look at both sides, and looking at both of those sides and then taking the action is what's going to help you grow.
Yeah. And that is such a good take. I mean, just understanding that there's value in both sides, right? The value in the celebration is really just to keep you going and to, prove to yourself to believe that it's possible and that kind of thing. But there's also value in the other side of it. And the value is not to beat yourself up. The value is to find what you can learn from it and then let it be, right? Just let it go. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. That didn't go exactly as I wanted it to. I could have, right? We start getting into this. We're shooting on ourselves. I should have done this. There's no value in that. The value is going, okay, cool. I learned that. Maybe next time I do this a little bit differently, and then I will get to celebrate that, right? So I think that's such an awesome take. And the other part of that conversation you and I were having from Monday, when we're talking about kind of taking the action here, there is only so much time in the day. So we've got in the workshop, there's going to be 60 ideas. The book, right, there's 13 fundamentals. The live, we're going to touch on probably at least a dozen key areas that we're going to walk through with you. And you'll actually be able to do it during the live event. So, I mean, even more action happening there, but there's only so much time. And so we can't just, okay, go. I think I even said to you and Tanya in Minnesota, you know, I was thinking about like, maybe I just need to lock myself away for 3 months and, and get it done. Right. Kind of thing. But the reality is that that's not possible. Right. So for me with OSG, I've not done all the things. Right. So I'm using air quotes there. I've not done all the things, but I keep coming back to the foundation and the fundamentals because I've implemented that review cycle mindset, right? And this is what's so incredible about having this structure is you get to work from that place where you're going to get results even if you've not done all the things, even if you've not completed all the steps, even if you don't have a perfectly polished business plan. You shouldn't. I don't think the only time you need to do that is if you're handing it over to a bank for them to look at that. And I know people that are going through that process. The banks really don't care about that. They want to see the numbers, right? But the reality is you don't need all that stuff. It's the actual action, right? So you're going to get those results just from trying to take steps as often as possible. Like you said, Becky, being intentional about making this your mindset. I kind of look at it almost like goals. It's not about the result, but instead about the action, right? And the value is in the continuous improvement because once you know, even once you do all the things, right? So maybe you've been really diligent and you've gone through and you've, you know, read the book and you've done everything in there, right? You'll get to the end and you'll read the part about, oh yeah, go back, let's do it again. It's a cycle, right? And here's what's valuable, right? Like, oh my gosh, Aaron, that sounds like a lot. It gets easier every time, right? Once you've put a little bit in place, the next thing builds on top of that, the next thing builds on top of that, and it gets easier. So now the next time around, maybe you're not having to have that Herculean effort. It's just a little bit of a tweak, a little bit of an ad, change something up that you got feedback on, right? And so it's about continuously taking the action though. And I think that's where we run into problems is we go, okay, cool, I did the thing and now I just shelf it. And now I lose that momentum. I lose that gain because there's too much distance. So it's like, what can you do every day? But it's up to each of us to continue to take the action, right? Once we lose that momentum, that's when the cycle gets harder again. But if you keep it going, then it gets easier every time. And it gets to a point where it almost feels like it's running itself. And all you're doing is just coming in and making a few tweaks. And to me, that's the ultimate goal. That's the business that you love. One that's kind of allowing you to just be in your zone of greatness and chug it, just let that train roll downhill. So what's
I agree. I think it's all about progress over perfection, you know, looking back, reviewing, and then taking that action. And as we were talking here, I keep thinking about the perpetual calendar. I mean, you just keep using it every year and you just keep going through it. And yet, you know, maybe I read something from 3 days ago and I read it and I went, yeah, whatever. But next year on that day, it might mean something that much more. So every time you review it and you continue to move forward with it, it's going to just have more things that come up that you see. I mean, same as watching a movie, you know, or or reading a book. I mean, if you redo them or rewatch them or reread them, you're going to pick up something new each and every time. And I believe that's exactly what this is all about. We need to find those things each and every time that's going to move you forward.
So that's such a great analogy. Yeah, I love that. Like we've talked about the movie The Secret, right? Kylene and I have watched it, you know, probably 50 times at this point. And every time, it's like something new that you take out of it and you go, okay, I'm going to focus on that part. I'm going to implement that part. And the same thing, like you said, for your planner. But even if it's like a movie that's just an entertainment, right? Oh, I didn't notice that little nuance or that little kind of inside joke or you know, kind of, oh yeah, that part resonated with me a little bit differently that time. Right. So, so I guess at this point, Becky, we've got a little bit of time, but not a ton, but let's kind of, I think we've covered the why. Hopefully people understand why this review cycle mindset is important. But I think it's crucial that we leave people with some of the how to implement this mindset and then give them an idea of what, right? So they can maybe see some examples of what to do to kind of I don't know. I couldn't come up with a better way to say it, but like live the review cycle mindset. I'm very careful now. I don't want to sound cultish, but that's an inside joke with Becky and I. So
We'll get you there.
yeah, for sure. So anyhow, so let's get into the how a little bit here.
So, much of the how is explored in the 4 other areas that we've discussed during the 12-week workshop. We want to make sure that you guys are getting that. So if you guys, I'll have Aaron put the link up there, but if you join the Facebook group, we're going to be, there'll be information coming out in there, and that's going to be the best place to get some of that information. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sorry. Just got a text from Lewis. There's still no bus.
Oh.
Kylene, if you could just tell him, and I'll drive him once we're done here if I need to. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So definitely go to facebook.com/group, fall in love OSG. You just want to be there anyhow. We're adding people all the time. Some connections that we made in Minnesota. So if you're not already in that group, just double check that you're a member of the group. And if you're not, jump in there. So the key things I think that people need to be looking at to implement this in their business. You mentioned it earlier, like you said, right? These are the kind of 5 areas that we're going to cover in the workshop, but you really need to identify those key performance indicators, which, like I said, you mentioned that. Also kind of setting up those regular review intervals. You mentioned like that monthly review. Part of the workshop is going to be setting up your own empowered life. So this is just a regular kind of 3-ring binder folder, and this is my empowered life system. So I've got in here those reviews. I've got in there the daily stuff. I've got in here my goals for the year. I've got in here my goals for the next 10 years, things like that. So we're going to show you in the workshop how to build your own. You kind of, a note about implementing this is don't always get stuck in the trap of the end of the year. So we talk about maybe like an annual review. That doesn't have to be a December, January thing, right? So what I want to look at actually is what's your busiest time of the year, and use that as kind of your marker. And then the downtime after your busiest time, kind of use that as your 12-month or your annual review cycle potentially, right? So just thinking about things like that. Another how that you should be aware of, and it works best when you have clarity of your goals. And to do that, the how is to make sure that you've got some milestones that will help you kind of set up those intentional actions that you're going to take along the way. And the final part of the mindset is to always be willing to be honest with yourself based on the feedback that you get, right? And this is the hard part. Right? We have to be honest with ourselves. Like the feedback might come in the form of, okay, I didn't like this, or they say no to your presentation or your pitch, or whatever that feedback is. And so a lot of times we want to take that feedback and we want to make these adjustments. And yes, we need to make adjustments based on feedback. But if you don't take the step of getting really honest with yourself, you're going to struggle, right? We don't want to adjust just because something on the surface level is not working. We have to, like you said, look at some of those challenges, Becky, and come back and ask the hard why questions. Am I doing enough? Am I pushing against my comfort zone hard enough? Have I asked for enough help? Have I asked enough questions? Right? So have this mindset and the overall review cycle mindset. Here's the other benefit of it is that it not only gives you the tools to achieve the kind of the specific goals that you have set out there, but it also creates this mindset that is really crucial, that we have to have this, no matter how quote unquote successful you are, we always want to be learning. We always want to have this continuous improvement. I know for me, no matter where I'm at, there's always going to be this desire to get a little bit better. Right. And I think the nice part about that is then that also builds resilience. Right. So when I'm faced with a tough thing, I go, I know that there's more for me to learn. I know that there's more that I can do and the better I can become. So this setback isn't the end of the world because I know that there's an opportunity for continuous improvement. So that resilience is crucial part of the mindset of a small business owner. So, bye, Cora. Bye, Cora.
So if you see me like looking off to the side and trying to like mouth words and stuff, I'm trying to talk to her.
Yeah, that's fine.
Not interrupt and do all the things, but she ran off, but she'll be back. I promise.
All right. All good. All
So-
good. No, I guess I know I kind of still hit some high level stuff there, but that's kind of the how. So maybe if you could help us kind of close this out, Becky, with what might you be doing specifically in your business?
Right. So we wrote down a few questions, like here's how to implement, like what might you measure? So you're going to maybe measure customer satisfaction through, reviews, feedback scores, any kind of comments on a service or product.
Yeah.
I am not very good about that part yet. I'm still working on the metrics of what I'm actually measuring, trying to figure some of that out. But then it's also, how are you using a planner or your scheduling system to review that progress? Yeah. Well, you talked about your planner there. I've been starting to use Trello for tracking.
Nice.
And now I've started adding my monthly reviews in there. I actually bought the Rocket book that Tanya has stolen, but given back. And was able to use that pen and paper feel to get my review done, but then scan it up into my Trello and have it there for reviewing. I just looked at it again the other day. I'm like, oh, that's right. It helps you remember those accomplishments and some of those things that you are reviewing.
Yeah.
Also, like, how do your goals guide you in your review and what to measure? I think the number one and the easiest one to measure is your monthly and yearly sales. I mean, you can, if you have an accountant, they can run those reports for you, have a discussion with them, or if you do it yourself, you can look at those yourself. And then the last part here is, how do you look at being honest with yourself when it comes to making these adjustments? We talk about the mirror process and how it allows you to verify, yes, I'm doing everything I can. So for me, the monthly review has really helped to look at this, and then also reviewing my Fun 5. So I sent my Fun 5 every day, the top 5 tasks that I plan to get done that day, which I just realized I haven't really done for the last couple of weeks. So it's time to get back on track. If I go back and I look and there's a task that's been on my Fun 5 day after day after day, it probably is the big indicator that I'm not using my time wisely. Maybe things have popped up that have had to adjust my Fun 5 after I've written them down, but probably 9 times out of 10, it means that that's something I don't want to do. And so it keeps getting pushed over and over and over, to the next day. And so it's time to, as we've talked, eat the frog and get it done. So I think that is the number one indicator for me on that part. So
love it. Oh, that's so good, Becky. I've got, let's bring Tanya and Kylene back up, but I want to share one more thing while I'm bringing them back on stage here. So we'll get everybody.
The sun is getting me again.
We'll get everybody in the right order here. So Becky, I think those what's are so amazing because it's an example, right? We don't have to do all the things all the time. The fact that you're working on it, right? And the fact that you thought, oh, wow, yeah, I haven't been on my Fun 5 every day, but then you learn something out of that. Like, oh, okay, well, why? Right. And that's the value. All of the things don't necessarily matter as things. They matter as the growth, as the movement, as the intentionality. So I think you guys are such a great example of this. And I want to be an example of it too, right? How do we just, like I said, I haven't done all the things. I might've wrote the book, but it's a constant process, right? And so I know that I need to go back and work on some things. I know that I've had the same thing. I have not done my daily planning as well as I should have over the last couple of weeks, right? I use the justification of the traveling and stuff like that.
Wow.
Well, guess what? Time to make that change. I know that. Right? So anyhow, Tanya, what's your take on all that? Sorry, take a breath.
So much good stuff in there. My example is using a planner. I'm kind of in between the planner that I've created, and I'm learning what I am using and what I'm not using in that planner so that I could recreate it to make it fit me better. And then I'm also delving into Trello for some things as well. And then for our business, we use Monday.com. And sometimes I feel like that's just really a lot, but I wasn't getting what I needed for me personally out of Monday. Trello serves some purposes, but I'm really a lot happier with my iPad planner, but I do need to buy a Rocketbook. I found one that has tabs, which will be perfect for me because I get lost and yeah, I can make my own tabs, but it's a whole thing. For me, that's what works better. And so to be able to steal Becky's and use it before I buy was huge. And so not all friends would be very happy with that, but thank you, Becky. I love you.
I got it back. It's okay.
Yeah. Hey, Kylene, how about your quick take? And then I know you need to go log in and you can bounce off for that real quick.
Yeah, I do. Well, there was a lot of really good things on there. I find that, so you and I meet and we do our monthly review. And even within that month, I find that I forget some things to celebrate. So I just think it's such a crucial part to keep us moving forward, because if we're not at that end goal yet, right? Sometimes we feel like we're not progressing and we're not making or having success, but really you're having tons of success throughout every week, every day. It's just taking the time to reflect and celebrate on that. And the other part that stood out is being honest with yourself. For me, I always look for the positive, and sometimes that's a blind side to me because I could justify it, right? Of why I'm not making the changes that I'm seeing that I need to make. And so that honesty factor with yourself, and it's not to shit on yourself. It's not to be hard on yourself. It's just to really be true to what's actually happening so you can move forward. Otherwise, you're going to continue that whole cycle over and over and over. Aaron, don't smile.
I'm giggling because even though Kylene gets plenty of it for me though, so I was giving her a hard time about something yesterday. She's like, "You're being sassy." I'm like, "I think this is just my normal."
That's too funny. Yeah.
All right.
But, the honesty. But I do have to get going. So thank you guys.
All right. Thanks, Kylene.
Have a great day.
All right. We'll bring her off stage. All right. Well, Tanya, let's go ahead and put this thing on ice. I imagine you guys have to run as well here, and I might have to drive my son to school. So
all right. Well, ICE stands for Inspire, Collaborate, and Encourage. And I just really live my life by that, or at least I try to. And part of that developed into choose. We can choose what we need as often as we need it. It could be happy, it could be determination, it could be whatever we need. And the grand thing is that we can change it as often as we need. So I have these choose boards, and they're available on my site, and I can do custom ones too. But today I choose to challenge my limits. And that comes from don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits. I have this on a shirt where the bottom part is on the sleeve. And I made myself a tumbler because I really find that if I don't keep it in the forefront of my mind, that I kind of get a little bit lax and a little bit lazy and don't move forward. So I love visual tools. So that's kind of what my shop is about. But that's what I'm going to choose today, is to challenge my limits.
Nice.
Love it. Awesome. Becky, what about you?
Okay, so I have my board, which says I choose to be grateful. And I also have Cora's board. And I wasn't sure what she was going to write down this week because she's kind of been on this love and helpful thing. But Tanya, this is off of your shirt, similar to where she has me versus 1,000. And then she crosses out 1,000 and it's me versus me. So she's been listening and she knows that it is only against herself that she needs to work. Which is cool because she has bio girls today and they are going outside to run and it's gonna be cold. So I was trying to make sure she had her clothes. That was one of the things I was asking. But it is so fun to watch her pull what she gets every week. So
she just warms my heart, not just because I love her to death and I could just squeeze her every day, but because it's a testament that if you introduce these same tools to kiddos, I mean, I wish I would have had that at 9 years old. that would have been so great. And I almost have tears because,
Yep.
oh my gosh, she listens to me.
Well, and she loves the Fun 5 for cleaning her room. I don't know, Aaron, if we've talked about that or not, but
That's awesome.
she worked with me with the one day with a Fun 5. She'd take a picture of her room and then she'd come back out to the office with me, and I'm like, okay, let's look at what can you do. And then she'd pick 5 things, and then she'd go take care of those 5, and she'd take another picture and come back. And so it took her a little bit, cool. But she did it, and she thought that was great. So
that's awesome. Wow. Cool. Wow. Yep. You're exactly right, Tanya. I mean, if we can give this to our kids, give some of these, it's just, so incredible to watch them grow and watching Cora has been great.
Michelle, that's awesome.
Yeah, simple actions. And Michelle had another tip right above it if somebody wants to pop that one.
I want to just
that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I want to know about that.
Yeah, I found out you can get a screen cover for your iPad to help with writing, like the Rocket Book.
Oh, yes.
I'm looking into it.
I think we have those, Tanya, the paper like feel screen covers. Yes.
Yep. And I love mine. I absolutely
makes a big difference on writing on your iPad. Absolutely. Yes.
Darren says we did 3 checks for cleaning my room. So there you go.
Good job, Darren.
All right. So yeah, what are you guys going to choose out there, Darren? Michelle already shared hers. Again, this is awesome. Simple actions. Oops, wrong button. My board has be proud. I want to be proud of the effort. I've been doing this teaching thing for a little bit now, and still every time before it, I get nervous. I'm like, okay, right. I just start thinking about it. Atlantic City is a different town than Minnesota. So there's different kinds of attitudes there. And it's been a while since I've been to Atlantic City. So you definitely get a lot more of that, standoffishness, like, oh, what are you trying to sell me kind of thing. So I'm going to take that challenge to break down some of those business barriers. And I just want to be proud of showing up and giving everything I've got to the folks that spend their time with me. So,
and honestly, Aaron, I love that comment where you talked about, they're there, they want to sell their products too. And I think that's one thing that would definitely change that mindset is to start off with that. Like, you all have products to sell yourself, and do you want your customer to come, say the same thing and have the same kind of attitude back at? I think that would reset some mindsets there.
Yeah. Well, that's such a good point, Becky, because if you think about it, right, if everybody were to instead try to work together instead of tried to take advantage of each other, because every time somebody gets taken advantage of, guess what happens, right? We have to raise our prices. We have to, kind of, and therefore that's when this all kind of, but if we all decided, okay, how can we make this easier on each other, right? How can I make it easier for my vendors to give me what I need and vice versa, right? How can I make it easier for my customers to get what they need? And how can we work together and collaborate on that? Using another one of Tanya's favorite words there. Then everything comes down, right? Things cost less. It's easier, less time. So yeah, I think that there's another quick uncommon mindset, right?
Very much so.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate everybody. We're getting to that time where the sun's going to be directly in Becky's eyes.
I know.
Moment, so.
I'm trying to go down and down and down, and then I'm going to get lost.
She's going to be below the screen. But we just want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for allowing us a little extra bonus time here. And thanks to everybody who did jump into the comments. If you're watching the replay, please jump in there, comment along the way. We want to keep the conversation going, and just use hashtag replay so we kind of get an idea of where everybody's at and when they're jumping on there and checking it out. But comment away. Just we'll get in there and interact with you too. So appreciate that. All right, you guys. Well, anything that we missed, or we good to call it a day and come back next Wednesday, same time?
I think that was wonderful. And as usual, my cup is filled and I'm ready for the day.
Let's do it. All right. High five, everybody.
Have a great week.
Boom.